of Blue-White Approach. Probably gonna try to play Blue-White Approach at least every other day. I'm not promising that. Every now and then, maybe something spicy will show up, or maybe I'll want to play it several days in a row. Who knows? But this is the list we're going to try tonight. It's not significantly different from the list we tried the other night, except one we cut the Gideons. I think the Gideons are worse in general now. All the teamer decks are playing Bristling Hydra, as opposed to before. Some of them are playing Wandering, or Woodland Wanderer, and Carnage Tyrant's a card, and Mono Red's a little bit more popular than it was even before. It doesn't seem great versus a lot of decks. A lot of decks feel like they're just like the black white tokens and stuff. They feel like they're just coming out and going wide, and like a Gideon, while it is a good card and I miss it, and at some point we'll probably actually make it back into the main deck. We're just going to try it tonight, and we're basically just hard swapping settled or wreckages for it. We also cut the 2 Illuminations for tonight, and we brought back in the Supreme Will. We very much missed it last time when we brought in a cast out. The only thing from the main deck that I really want is I want a 4th opt, but I have no idea what to cut. I want to keep all 25 lands. I thought about cutting the 4th approach, but we win so many games just by drawing 2 approaches that cutting the 4th approach seems less than stellar, but I still really want the 4th opt. It should just be that I should cut Search for Azcanta. In the reality, Search for Azcanta may not even be good enough to be in the deck. And in the sideboard, because I like having more than just 4 cats as an alternate win condition, so that gives us access. So we're going to try to Gearhulk now, where we used to have Linvala in that spot. And I also think the Gearhulk plays exceptionally well with Settled or Wreckage. But, so that's the changes we're trying for tonight, and let's just go ahead and fire up a match, and hopefully some people will get in here before it starts. We're currently, I gotta turn the music back down. We're currently 4-1 with Blue-White Approach as an archetype. The only loss so far has been the Mono Red, which I still think this build seems like it's kind of bad versus Mono Red. We'll keep this hand. The Black White Tokens deck that we've been tuning, we're at 13-6 with it right now, which is at 68%. But I've only gone 4-3 versus Mono Red, and I specifically tried to design that deck to beat Mono Red, so it's a little discouraging, and I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board and try to think a little bit harder on how to beat Mono Red with the Black White Tokens. Yeah, so opponent's mulligan and scry to the bottom. Apparently Moto's still laggy tonight. Seems like it lags till around midnight Eastern or whatever, but we're still going to try to get through these games. Hello, coolest, coriest cattest. How art thou, coolest Cory cat? I like how even like the auto Twitch thing spams a little emoji dude, little emote thing. Like, hey guys. I have no idea why either, but every single time that I see this, it makes me think of Gabby. I don't see particularly well, but I don't know. Is this better to wait to the end step? I don't think that they would be playing a 1-drop around Sensor anyway, so it's probably fine just to use it now and press F6, but you might as well be careful with it though. So we're looking for like some kind of counter spell or something. I usually like trying to save ops until we know what we want, but it's pretty easy to tell kind of what we want right now. How the Commander Clash? How competitive are those games? Like, are they a bunch of casuals, or do they actually play like hardless? I'm not actually sure. Rootbound Craig with the beautiful art, serving a conduit. Still has no pressure on the board though, so I think it's pretty safe to wait for a Glimmer. Zero, just fun. Probably an entertaining watch then. I have to imagine that if it was competitive, it wouldn't be a particularly fun watch. Certainly more fun to watch casual Commander decks play versus each other. We have a whole bunch of Glimmers. So they're playing Dinah Rose. And they showed us a Rigi. They still have a Force in their hand as well. Rigi is a pretty good card. Can't say anything bad about Rigi. Got the foil pre-release one out of my packs. I probably should have sold it, but quite frankly, I just wanted to own it because I really like this card, and at some point, this card is going to be an all-star. It's kind of interesting that he's not playing it. I guess he's going to play around Censor and play it next turn, or maybe he's got a better 4-drop he'd rather play this turn. I'm not exactly sure. It's got a Ronus. Yeah, well, Ronus is a card. I think Ronus is a good enough card to make me use a cast out even. Yeah, I think Ronus is a good enough card to make me use a cast out over a Glimmer. I don't want to take the additional 5 damage next turn. And then I'd be fumigating on the turn after that, probably. So, like, casting a Glimmer this turn would make me take an additional. I guess I could cast out next turn and take 3, but he could have some kind of different play. And if he played around Censor last turn, he could have played it around it again. He's down to 3 cards in his hand, though. We're only going to take 5 damage this turn. So as long as this follow-up isn't something amazing, we should be in really good shape. Or if we hit like a second Fumigate, or maybe even a Settled Wreckage. We'll put a cast out on the bottom and the approach on top. There's another cast out. So that's good to hit whatever the follow-up is. I was watching Thundermo's stream earlier, and he said that the Dino deck just couldn't beat Blue-White Approach. I don't know how true that is. So there's another Rigi and another 3 damage we're going to take. Which means we're going to take a rather large hit next turn. So we go down to 13, back to 20, then back to 13 minus whatever else he plays. We'll have to see. It may not be good enough for us to win. Worst case scenario is we have a redraw with the cast out to look for another Fumigate or a Settled Wreckage or another cast out. Or we can just play it and Glimmer to try to prevent some amount of damage. So we'll go ahead and put a little 7 right here. Gotta keep count. Apparently I'm dropping frames yet again tonight. I don't know what's been up with my computer. Maybe I need to run disk defrag or something. So he is tapping mana. Oh, he just cycled. He didn't have anything other than that. That's very good for us. So 4/7. Wow, he didn't cast that pre-combat and attack. He missed out on 4 points of damage. And we have to win next turn, so... It's just 11. And we have one cast out and a counter spell. Could have a shock, though. Might need to play around shock, I guess. So we're at 6 here. What is that? Oketcha's Monument? Green. Whenever you cast a green creature, something gets bigger? Sure. Let's start with this. And try to decide whether we're going to cast out based on using the Glimmer. I guess we'll put those two on bottom, so that's 4 more cards away. So it's 2 cards down, and we have an opt, or we have a censor to cycle one, so it's just safer to go ahead and play the cast out without having to think. Now, if he has a Blossoming Defense, we're just dead, but... Yeah, this is the type of deck I would imagine having a Blossoming Defense. It's kind of an interesting card for it. I like the idea of giving them trample. So he's going to look for another card? Okay. Maybe he does have Blossoming Defense because he's certainly drawing a card. And he didn't attack. He skipped through his attack step. And we knew the approach was that card, so... Didn't have to do a whole lot of thinking. It's kind of weird that he skipped through that attack step. We might have lost this game if he hadn't... I guess we wouldn't have lost this game either way. We would have been at 9, taking 7 if he hadn't made his 2 play errors, so we'd still be at 2. But he wouldn't have had to harness lightning. Say that other card was a lightning strike or something, it could have potentially been lethal. Well, so I guess versus dinos, cats seem reasonable. They block. Torrential Gearhulk seem reasonable. They buy back settled wreckages. I don't really know what we can sideboard out, though. The Search for Azcantas might be too slow, and maybe the Effort Meltdowns, but if he gets a mana producer, I'm probably going to want those Meltdowns. Let's try it without the Meltdowns. I've actually been considering trying a build without Meltdowns altogether. Just letting the aggro decks do what the aggro decks want to do. Hand's slow, but the hand's a fine keep, I think. As long as they don't have a mana producer, this gets the first big one. This gets the second big one. Can't find my cell phone. Ah, there she is. There she blows, Captain. There, we'll keep. Taking out the Effort Meltdowns might have been very, very wrong. didn't really look at them. I was eating dinner after you sent them, and I'd already bought the cards for this deck. So I haven't had a chance to look over either of them yet. So go ahead and pop that up. I can't imagine cycling the cast out, but might as well play the planes. Hello, NRF. You're going to have to tell me how to pronounce that someday. Or I could just call you Sean. I don't plan on cycling this cast out, but at least not this turn. Maybe next turn. So that is a different land than he showed us. So there's no reason to zero that out yet. We still know he has a forest. Also another reason you should always use the same art. And that is the one he showed us, so. So I guess he doesn't have a 3 or 4 drop dinosaur? Because he could have gained 2 more lives just by playing a dinosaur? Or maybe he's trying to bait out an Effer Meltdown on this thing or something? And then he's just like going to play the little 3-2 or 2-3 or whatever post-combat? Not exactly sure. A lot of possibilities. I'm going to assume the most likely possibility is he just doesn't have anything. And that I'm trying to overthink stuff. Alright, well. Didn't I zero that out already? It's kind of weird that he didn't attack this time and I guess he's just wanting to cast this without it getting counterspelled. He's playing around Censor. Could have played around Censor pre-combat though, and then when I counterspelled this, you could have still attacked for 1. Or if I didn't counterspell it at all, you could have attacked for 3. But the way he played it doesn't let him get a counterspell in at all. But he may have just like went to the combat step, not thinking about wanting to play around sensor, and then changed his mind. I make plays like that, especially on Moto a lot. Like if I'm watching a stream or whatever, like I won't be thinking like very far ahead. Like I'll just be thinking about the actual turn I'm on, and then like when I go into the attack step or whatever, I'll be like, oh well, I should have probably done this instead. So we have a cast out now and a couple glimmers. He's going to have to cast a pretty good spell for us to use to cast out on it. Kind of like the art on that's pretty colorful. I don't know if I like it, but it does catch the eye. I don't think it's particularly good. Like, I think it's very bad versus mono red. If the market part was also an instant, I would probably want it, but... Oh, he's got a flash dino. That's kind of cool. I didn't even know there was a flash dino. Oh, we certainly don't want more lands of any kind. So put 2 lands on the bottom and draw 1 land. Yeah, but my Gearhulks are in the sideboard. Like that's the type of card I would play if I was playing a Gearhulk control deck and not a Gearhulks out of the board. We're going to go ahead and use this. He could have Heroic Intervention, and if I saved Settle the Wreckage for next turn, I may get more creatures or a Carnage Tyrant or something, and I can hold up Censor as well. But he's down to 3 cards, and we have 1 more Wrath and a cast out, so we might as well. He cycled into that. That's not particularly. That's not a particularly threatening card. We may just let it deal damage. If the Gearhulks were main deck, that's a card I would want a lot more. I also don't really know what to cut. I already want 1 more card in my main deck than I have room for. Guess I'm just going to take 4 here, because I really want to play the Glimmer. Another cycled land. Probably should have did that pre-combat, because he could have hit a Rigi. Sure. So we're certainly going to start with this. And we don't want either of those. Guess we'll go ahead and cycle this as well. That is offensive, Corey. Stone offensive. Let's cycle this as well. Just hoping to find an approach. I did not find an approach. I found another Fumigate, so I don't really even need to settle the wreckages anymore. That being said, I think I'm going to use the Settle the Wreckage because we have Supreme Will up. And the Supreme Will might find us an approach or whatever, but Drawing the second, third, and fourth Wrath versus the mid-range green decks. Pretty solid, I would say. They're not really doing much. Like, they look unimpressive so far. He has another land. He's drawn all the lands in the world. He's up to 8 lands and is 10 lands if you count the 2 sheltered thickets. It's a Rigi. This is one of the reasons I don't really like Settled to Wreckage. He's going to have 4 mana post or he's going to have a 4/4 post combat still. In fact, I'm probably just going to take. I don't know. We're going to definitely be using the Supreme Will and then deciding what we do damage wise. This is 9 damage though. It's a bunch. So let's start with you. If I find an approach, I'll cast a Settle. If I don't find an approach, I probably won't. A Glimmer, definitely not casting the Settle to Wreckages in. Another Fumigate and another Caracal. I guess we will keep the Caracal because A, we're low on life, and B, he's low on cards. Go back up to 11. Maybe I just cut the Settle to Wreckages for him. I do like the card. I just think it's really bad versus mono red. So he's going to need something pretty powerful now to beat the hand. And that certainly isn't something that's very powerful. It's just another land for him. Another land for us. The farmer's market. I'm still rambling on about the farmer's markets. Guess we'll start with this. We may hit an approach. I don't know if I would even cast an approach as opposed to a Regal at the moment, but we have the extra mana, so we might as well get all the options. Currently have 2 Settles. Well, we're certainly just keeping another cat. Alright, new game plan. Same as the old game plan. Beat people with cats. Cat scratch fever! We can play both cats next turn, I think. 4, 8, 9, yeah. We can play both cats this turn. We scribed one to the bottom too. The second cat normally prompts a concession. So if the second cat normally prompts a concession, I wonder what the third cat's going to do. Attack you for 13 lifelink. This is screenshot o'clock. You gotta. That's the first time I've had 3 in play, so I had to take a little quick cheeky screenshot of it. I like to take screenshots of the very sweet things. I really kind of want to try a blue-white deck that just doesn't... Oops, sorry, I got to move that over here. That just doesn't use blue-white. Or doesn't use approach as a kill condition, is what I'm trying to say. It could work. There's a lot of decent blue-white flyers at the moment with Flash. I would not be surprised if that's a deck. Well, we certainly need a land. So we're going to go ahead and ship it. Wow. And we have no land here either. It's a pretty easy mulligan. Opponent mulliganed at least once, so I guess that's kind of fair. Alright, well, we'll keep. Obviously not happy. I'm actually going to leave that on top. We don't have the lands to play it yet, but it's the type of card we need to get back into the game. Hopefully they're not playing mono red, because this draw has no chance versus mono red. We just want it to be some dirtily green deck. Don't really want it to be a blue deck either, since our Effort Meltdown's already a mulligan. Maybe it's Pirates. Pirates wouldn't be very good for us either, though, because they have a lot of discard spells. So they got to keep an extra card, and they had an op. So whatever this is, their draw's excessively better than ours. All right, well they at least had one blank card, so it's probably blue-white approach. If we want to beat mono red, we probably have to go back to like the 40s and stuff main, which isn't something that I really want to do. Like how I can play the second Rivulet here. In the old builds, I would have to play the Plains because of the Prairie Streams. I'll go ahead and Supreme Will. No, I'm not. Not going to bother with the Supreme Will, I don't think. We have at least one more land drop, so I don't think we need to worry about the Supreme Will. Ha! Saved opponent damage. I'm a Demus. I'm a Demus. All fear my Demus skills. Take care, Darth Butt Plunder. Have a good evening, man. I'm going to cast a Supreme Will on his turn, though. More than anything, I'm wanting him to cast a Glimmer or something in response to it so we know that our Glimmer will resolve, but... We have more blue mana and blue cyclers, you know, between the ops and the sensors now than just a cast out, so we'll leave the blue mana untapped. So this is what we were kind of hoping. We wanted him to play a Glimmer because we wanted to resolve our Glimmer. So that was exactly what we wanted. I guess we take the land here in this spot then. Yeah, mono red's been a real problem for me. Especially now that we've lost the little cheeky gain life spell. I say cheeky a lot. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed that. Like, way more than an American man should. Now that we've lost a little life gain from Blessed of Alliance, like, mono red's beatable. And I'm just trying, I need to find the best way to beat mono red while not giving up percentages versus the field. So I think Opt's better than a blind card because Opt lets me go ahead and opt and see the next card and potentially the card after that if I don't like the next card, which we like the next card, so it ended up not mattering. But like when we had one extra mana, there's no dispel or anything to bluff. I think it's better just to keep the opt. The opt lets you go one card deeper is what I'm trying to say. Man, I babble a lot too. Wow, he missed the first land drop. That's good for us. I think we'll keep the irrigated farmland. I'm not even sure if I'm going to cycle it. Yeah, we're going to keep the farmland. It helps us draw back to that second approach. And we know we're casting an approach next turn. And at some point we may need to be able to play approaches and pay for Supreme Wills. He's mana screwed, so it might be worth, if he'd cast a Glimmer, I probably would have Supreme Willed it in that spot. Where he's been missing lands. Normally you would never counterspell a draw spell in these matches, but when your opponent's mana screwed is the one exception. Maybe he didn't miss a land drop, or maybe I'm just can't count. Yeah, that was his turn 6. Apparently he's not missed a land drop, and I just thought the game was at a different point than it is. Yep, you guys will have to ignore me for being an idiot. I've been talking about him missing a land drop for a while. And he apparently just didn't miss a land drop, so that's fine. Let's go ahead and put a 7 there so we know where it is if it gets shuffled back in. That's fine. If he doesn't have anything better to use this sensor on, that's completely fine. So we have no idea where our approach is now. He's got the Odorart Glacial Fortresses, which is an art I like a decent amount. So all we have to do is find an approach and we can win here. That'd be nice. It's not an approach, but it's kind of the next best thing. So we have at least a counterspell to protect ourselves, and we have several cyclers. By the way, hello, Bird SBs. I don't think I've saw you in chat before. I hope you're having a good time. Thanks for stopping by tonight. So we know his approach is 6 cards down. So we should at least keep track of his approach. We do have the Rivulets. There's some percentage of a chance that we can stop him from drawing them. So. Well, we don't want either of those. We at least have to hold the Supreme Will for now. Well, there's another approach. Actually gonna hardcast this one. Let's just pay for a Supreme Will next turn. If for some reason we feel like we need to use the approach. So that'd be 5 cards down for him now. and this would put it at 4 down. So a Rivulet would technically mill it now. Don't know if that's needed. So he can pay for our Supreme Will next turn, so there's no reason for us to hold it up. If he has 2 Supreme Wills, we're probably just dead. It's one of the reasons that this mirror is kind of miserable, though. But we certainly don't want that card. So we can pay for 1 Supreme Will. Alright, what we got there? If he did have 1 Supreme Will, we're in kind of a weird spot where I don't know if it's better to Rivulet him and like mill his Supreme Will, or whether I'm supposed to pay for it. I think I'm supposed to pay for it, especially with 3 Censors already in his graveyard, but I'm not certain that that's correct. Anyway, post-board games get a lot more interesting, I think, in this match. I actually think we can reasonably bring in 11 cards. We obviously want all the blue cards. The blue cards are just amazing in this spot, and we obviously think the Gearhulks are good if the blue spells are good. Settle the Wreckages can't be good. Probably getting all the Fumigates isn't good. We have enough card draw that we can probably find most of them if we want. And the Effort Meltdowns are pretty clearly not good as well. And that's without thinking. So now that we put some more fault in it, cards to consider are these cats and another Fumigate. I kind of like the cats in an abstract because it makes it hard for your opponent to win. Or it gives them like something they have to worry about on board. But when we have the full 4 negates and the extra Jace's defeat, I feel like we can just play a control route. I don't feel like we need to try to get people with cats. So trying to get people with cats may just be wrong. Yeah, I think we're going to try a game without the cats. We used to bring the cats in, but when we were bringing the cats in, we didn't have the 5 hard counter spells. And we didn't have the Search for Azcanthas to play kind of a different game, and we didn't have the Gearhulks. But now that we have all these extra control cards, I'm not sure that we need to try to get the little easy wins. Not sure if that's right. How have you been doing with a 4D since the rotation, Bert? We have a counterspell. We have a Jace's defeat. We have a Glimmer. Like this hand's keepable. This is like vomiting out blue. I'm not going to cycle to cast out till somewhere in the middle when we're starting to miss land drops, so there's no reason to lead with the white mana. There's also no real reason to lead with the blue mana, like neither of them really achieve anything, so there's no Dispel left in the format that I know of. I think Invasive Surgery is also rotated. Cast Out could hit an Azcanta though, so I definitely don't want to get rid of it until I'm about to miss a land drop. Can also get rid of that. Sure. Okay. Guess he doesn't have to worry about Blessed Alliance, so that's fine. Used to, I really hated that play from them because Blessed Alliance was a real card that sometimes people had to leave in because they didn't have better options. We're definitely cycling a Supreme Will. Sure, you can opt in response. Kind of want to land and I kind of want to negate. Yeah, let's take the negate. The land will come, friends. The land will come. That's not a land. So we can just play a cast out on his Gideon right now, or we can resolve our own Glimmer. We actually don't have a land for next turn, so it kind of makes me want to play the Glimmer. But I think playing the cast out is just safer. I think we're able to miss a land drop with both a Jace's Defeat and a negate in our hand. And we don't really care if he like untaps and plays a Glimmer or whatever, because that lets us resolve our Glimmer. And we don't have to worry about leaving Counterspell mana up really until turn 7. And we hit a land, so that was great. Yeah, I miss him a pretty large amount as well. Yeah, the little rivulets put a lot of play into the game. Wednesday Night Magic's not fired in so long, man. It's just not fired in so very long. To my knowledge, I shouldn't say that it's not. Hey, thank you for following. Nah, nope. Appreciate it, man. So another Gideon. Well, I guess that's worth a negate. The card is kind of aggravating. Treasure Map. That card's a pretty good card too. I guess we'll Supreme Will it then. I just don't want him to draw cards because the mirrors usually go pretty deep in the mirrors, card wise. Uh-oh. So, not keeping anything but lands. Certainly not keeping... Actually, we could keep a Censor. We could keep a Censor, sure. Because we still have the option to scry if need be. There's very few things that I would censor. I don't even think I would censor an approach here. It's down to 2 cards in hand. I guess we can censor an approach. Gets one of them out of his deck, right? Yeah, I guess one of them out of his deck. Well. Okay. Looking for lands again. We'll put that land on top and we'll put the cast out on bottom. If he has another approach, he's got us. But in fairness, I mean, we missed a land drop. We didn't really have a lot of tools. It's one of the reasons that this mirror is so miserable, though. So we can play our own approach, but that's probably not worth it. Whoever casts the first approach in these mirrors typically wins. So he does have a Censor. There's 2 unknown cards now. Would love it just to be like a land and a treasure map. A Glimmer? Alright, well we'll see if we can find a counterspell for it. Him drawing cards and scrying right now seems exceptionally good for him. But we don't want you. And we don't want you. So what do we got? Alright, so we have nothing. Do your worst, fam. We drew another one of those fumigates that don't really help us. If we save enough of his deck and that if he doesn't have any cats of his own, we can take our fumigates out. Which would be swell. So he put on bottom and on top. I have 2 mana left over. Probably not worth it still. Could just cast 2 Rivulets on him and hope to get lucky. If we knew he didn't have one in his hand, that's something we could certainly do. Alright, well we get to look at 4 cards to find a counterspell. He's casting this one, I assume he has 2. Well, we just needed the 1. Two down, 2 to go. Maybe 1 to go. Some builds have cut down to 3. He's only scryed 1 card to the bottom this match. So if he got 3 in his top 30-ish cards or whatever, that's pretty good and pretty bad for us. Again, I think an op's better than a blind card. Because we still have 4 mana to cast a Glimmer if we draw it. There's only even 1 Glimmer left in our deck, but whatever. We'll also take the second or a third negate. Third negate? That's not a third negate. It's a card that's probably good enough for us to keep, though. We might be able to win just by attacking if we keep it. Oh, our opponent didn't know that you had to have 2. Opponent's apparently new to approach. He didn't know that it had. He didn't know it was like that. Nah, he's just a new player. I mean, it's fine. He said he didn't understand it. It's not a big deal. Like the card is worded kind of weird. HULT. What is that? Alright, so do we want a Glimmer and to drop our shields? Probably. Well, I tapped the mana poorly, but whatever. I'm not going to untap it, like it doesn't matter. Hulk is in the sideboard. We're testing out Hulk in the sideboard because A, we lost Limvala for one of our kill conditions. Oh wow, he's got his own Gear Hulks. Nice. But more importantly than just that even, it plays well with our Settle to Wreckages. So he's going to get his own Glimmer as well. I like how this tells me Dex has cast this spell. Hey Corlight, what are you into today, man? You put a card on top that is frightening. There's a cast out to get Gideon back. That's fine. Get our own Glimmer here. If you counter the first approach, does the second one still win? Yes. Yes, it does. But the second one has to resolve, the first doesn't. Put that on the bottom, put this one on top. I'm going to go ahead and cycle this as well, I think. 4, 7. Yeah, he can pay for it, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of it. Because we need quite a few things now. Second approach of the second approach doesn't do a whole lot, so we'll just take the Azcanta. Just in case it matters, we'll keep a small little reminder that we have an approach on the bottom X of our deck. Um, it's fine to counter the first when it's using a bad counter spell like a sensor or whatever, just so you know it's not in their hand. But for the most part, you don't want to counter it, no. For the most part, you don't want to counter it. Like, you don't need to counter it. Like, I countered his this game because we had a random sensor or whatever, and it's just better to get the sensor out of his deck than knowing I have to deal with the card again in like 2 turns or whatever, but a lot of the builds only have a few copies of the approach as well. Like, it is possible to just get them all. I'm tempted just to mill my opponent for 4 and hope that he, or mill my opponent for 8 and hope that he just has X amount of approaches. It doesn't feel like it could ever be the right play, but it is so tempting. I guess again, we still need to cast out. Go ahead and play it. Could have tapped my mana marginally better, but... Trigger on the stack. What do we do with you, Mr. Azcanta? Approach of the second sun's in the graveyard? Why, no. I think we'll keep that. Transform you? Why, yes. Yes, we'll snap transform you. And this is a little dangerous to play. But we still have enough mana to look for a negate with the Azcanta, so I think it's okay, even though it's not great. So we get to see what our opponent put in his graveyard. He chose not to put it in their graveyard. Well, that is scary as well. I mean, I don't know if it's worth going for. Like, I don't know the rewards in Eternal. LSV was streaming the other night. You should have definitely went and just asked. A second Azcanta? Those are legendary. But it does let him get 1 mil for the following turn, I guess. Alright, so let's go ahead and Impulse. It's another approach and another cast out. Well, I guess we'll take the cast out. We don't really want the approach, and we know an approach is 3 cards down from where it currently is. So we know an approach is like the 3rd and 6th cards from the bottom of our deck, and we know it's 3 cards from the top. Now it'd be 2 cards from the top, so like we can draw it again next turn. He's only got 1 card in hand. And we have a cast out to beat a cast out and negate to beat anything else. So he needs like 2 hard counter spells here. We're just not using the Rivulet at all. I mean, I could have left it up, but there's just no chance that I'm ever using it. So I always tend to tap the ones that can deal damage to me first when there's 0 chance I ever use it. So what card did he get? He got a negate. Wonder what he left on top. Supreme Will, and he has no cards in hand, so we'll just pay for it. Hey, Zega. Also, hello, Nick Wu. I do think I've saw you before, Nick Wu, but Zega is the first I've saw of you. Hope you guys are having a good evening. Alright, so we won an approach mirror. Opponent was a bit of a newer player, though. Gideon's a pretty interesting thing. I still kind of want my Gideons back. I'm not happy to have my Gideons gone. So, our record's up to 6-1 with approach. I really don't know what to do with the main deck. We're trying out the Settle the Wreckages today because Monday when we were streaming the deck, I literally got flamed by like a dozen people for not having them, but they've not been impressive so far. Again, two match sample size, and one of the matches was a blue deck, so like, you know, that's a grain of salt. We have to obviously get a lot more reps in with the card to see whether we like it or not. Hey, Rain Soda, what are you into? Hey, Dumbo, hope you're having a good day. I noticed you golfing this morning right when I was laying down to sleep. Right when I was laying down to sleep, I noticed you log your approach on. Hey, Corlight, thank you for the 100 bits. We appreciate it, man. Let's see what P. Sam say here. Approach. Sure hope you're still streaming in a few hours when I need sleep aid. Fair enough, man. Yeah, I could be. Alright, this hand's a keep. It's landlight, but we have a lot of our little counter spells. Yeah, that's kind of my feeling, Sam's. I think the card's very good versus the mid-range decks. I'm not going to call them trash, but like the mid-range decks in general. But I feel like my match versus the mid-range decks is already really, really good. So I'm just a little hesitant about wanting an extra card versus them. However, it is an answer to Hazoret, so like maybe it's okay in the mono red match. I'm just gonna have to get some more reps in to find out. Like I don't want to completely dismiss the card. I tend to not like it. I tend to think it helps me win matches that I'm already winning, but I could very well be wrong. And unlike a lot of people, even if I think I'm wrong about something, I'm willing to try it. Or, sorry, even if I have an opinion about something, I'm willing to test it to see whether I'm right or wrong is what I'm trying to say. So if a whole bunch of people are telling me a card's good, even if like it doesn't seem good to me, I'm willing to actually put it through the ringers and give it a try. I like how I repeat myself like 7 times. Like anytime I try to explain something, I just say it 35 times. I'm gonna go ahead and cast out that, censor that. If they're a teamer deck, it could hurt them on lands a little bit, and if they're any other deck, like maybe I don't have to counterspell their 3-drop and can Supreme Will for a land or whatever. It's been a while since I filed for a comp request. What happened in your standard match for you to file for a comp request? Hey, Blade Ogre, thanks for the resub, man. I appreciate it. I kind of don't want to counterspell that, but he didn't play a land pre-combat. He could just be mana screwed. Alright. 3 months. 3 months, Blade Ogre. Fine, we'll counterspell second one. I kind of value my Supreme Wills a lot more than the Censor, but we'll just go ahead. Cycle Desert? That's interesting. Land. Now I don't feel so bad for using the Supreme Will. Yeah, that does not sound like something that Moto could figure out. Thank you for the kind words also, Matt. Blade Ogre. that very much sounds like something that Moto's not going to get right. I think that's your own fault. That's your own fault for even thinking Moto's going to get that one right. Well, we got a second Fumigate. Yeah, I've heard there's a lot of bugs with Gante. I've only ever played Gante in like the basic black-green deck, and it's like always worked for me, but I've heard there's a lot of bugs with it. Somebody was trying to use a split card with it in general, and it wouldn't let them use it one day. I think it was it might have been a Decandio stream, and it might have been just some cut ribbons that wasn't working for him. Kind of curious what opponent's playing for wanting to cycle desert. Anyway, I just want lands. So anything that gets me a land is something I'm going to take here. Well, I was thinking about fumigating the Rogue Refiner, but I certainly don't have to now. It's pretty solid. It's pretty solid, Blade Ogre. For those who don't know, Blade Ogre's talking about a game called Eternal. If you like the more Hearthstone variant games, I think Eternal's very fun. It's simple, while not being too simple. It's something you can play for free if you don't mind the grind. And it's fairly balanced from what I've played. Thank you for following, Goober1501. Appreciate the follow. First follow of the night. And when I say first, I mean second, because Nanope followed as well. Just noticed that Corelights bit donation is called Swift Rage. I had never heard of that one. Alright, well, opponent vomited out the table. Not a land. Just go ahead and prevent some damage. Hey, Angry Beard. But yeah, but the problem is, like, it's the same people, the same WotC's making it out of their way, right? Like, I know it's new developers and stuff like that, but in general what I'm trying to say is I don't trust Arena not to have bugs either. Like, if you could promise me Arena would be virtually bug-free, then I probably still wouldn't want to play it, but, like, I would be more inclined to play it. Alright, so Leslie's got Counterspell's main deck. We don't have a whole lot to worry about. We're not going to play around a Counterspell, we're just going to see what happens. Hey, JJ Still. What's up today, man? Well, no, I realize every game has bugs. I meant, like, unless it has a lot less bugs. I guess that's how I should phrase it. Like, Moto bugs don't really bother me a whole lot. Though they bother some people, but I don't know. They don't bother me a whole lot. I played World of Warcraft and Ultima Online. I've played games where, like, bugs literally ruined days. Like, ruined days of your game. So, like, a card not working exactly right in the games just never really bothered me. But, like, I hope it's fun. I'm not saying it won't be fun. It could be perfectly fine, you know? I'm going to try it. I've already signed up for the beta. I made sure I went to a pre-release so I could get the priority access and everything. Like, I'm certainly excited to give it a try. Alright, so moving into the sideboard, I typically don't like to change a whole lot. With my older build of the deck, I would take out some Hieroglyphic Illuminations and some Preem Wills for Linvalas and Regal Caracals because I just wanted to tile up the board as long as I can. And I think we're in a similar situation here. But now that we have Settled a Wreckage, I believe the cats actually get a lot stronger than they were before. Whereas I also think the Supreme Wills are a little bit stronger than they were before. I also kind of actually think the Gearhooks are slightly stronger as well, but like I still don't like playing into a Braid. The Azcanthas is the other cards that probably aren't making this cut. We're probably wanting to play things on 1 and 2. Now, for the last card, I am absolutely clueless what I should take out. Long day at the hospital, chill until my next shift tomorrow. Glad I caught the stream. I'm glad you could stop by as well. You could get in the first wave. Well, no reason to be sad about it. You never know. I really don't know what the last card to take out is now that our decks changed significantly. Also, don't really like taking out the Supreme Wills on the draw either. But the main reason I take out the Supreme Wills on the draw is because if they have a Serve and a Conduit, they get their 4-drop in before I can cast Supreme Will. Supreme Wills still have value later in the game, though. Alright, we'll just try this. Remove the Opt. Try that. I think Meltdown's probably not great, but it does stop Glorybringer and it does stop an early Longtusk Cub. And the early Longtusk Cub is what in my experience, has been the easiest way for them to beat me. Like, I felt like I can always beat their Bristling Hydras and stuff, but like that turn 2 Longtusk Cub is a real problem. Turn 2 Longtusk Cub might not be as big of a problem now that we have access to Settle the Wreckage, though. Plan on cycling one of the 2 sensors is why I led with the planes, and it turns on the Glacial Fortress for the next turn. I typically leave sensors in because they have just so many powerful 3-drops, right? Like they have Rogue Refiner, they have Whirler Virtuoso, they have if they don't, or if they have a Servant, like the sensors still can hit a Bristling Hydra or a Chandra. So like being able to cast a turn 2 counterspell seems like the most important thing in this particular match, counterspell wise anyway. Like just literally anything he plays on 3 is something that you want to cast. Like, if I was just wanting to cycle the sensors, then Ops is better, but, like, the sensors kind of like a split spell. It's like counterspell to a really good drop and or draw a card. So, like, you get both options from it. I guess if I'm going to cast Opt, I should also just play Opt first to see. Still probably going to get rid of the Wreckage no matter what, but still better to get the information. I said get rid of the Wreckage no matter what. I meant get rid of the Whirler Virtuoso. Lord, I can't talk. Hey, Quadfap, welcome back today. Do I think Red-Green Pummeler loses to Temur Energy? In my experience, it does not. In my experience, it's favored versus Temur Energy. I don't have a lot of reps to back that up. I've only played versus it 3 or 4 times. No, P-Sams, I want the 4th Opt. I just literally cannot find a card that I want to cut for it. Like, that's the first thing I said when I turned on the stream today, that I feel like not having the 4th Opt is absolutely wrong. I just do not know how to fix it. I wish I had any idea whatsoever on how to fix it. I feel like every card that's in the deck currently right now is fairly needed. Maybe the Azcanthas aren't good enough. Maybe that's what I should be looking to cut. Well, that's disappointing. I was really wanting to hit a land drop. Missing land drops is very bad. I sideboard out the Azcanthas a lot. Maybe they just shouldn't be in the main deck. I take them out versus all the red decks. I take them out versus Temur. I take them out versus way too many things. Maybe my Azcanthas are just too cute. Hey, thank you for following, Yenser. Appreciate it, man. If I was taking a stone guess, though, my stone guess would be that I should be siding that out. It's kind of interesting. It's like, now I kind of want to cast out it, and I also kind of want to Glimmer. Oh, it's a Duress. Well, I guess we're going to have to poop or get off the pot then. So we have to play the cast out now. It took our option away. Jay still is a traveling nurse. I don't know if he's reading the chat still, but sounds like he has a pretty sweet job. Oh, he got rid of the fumigate. That's kind of interesting. Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and pop off the Glimmer. We might get come into play Tapland or whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to put both lands on the bottom. I really want like a fumigate. And like the search for tomorrow, just casting search for tomorrow may not be good enough in this spot. He didn't attack at all. I don't know if that was an F6 or whether he's playing around something that I don't know about or what. But that no attack seemed suspect to me. Yep, no, Gabriel Nassif is a much better player than me. That's for sure. I used to sideboard out Censors a lot until he talked me out of it. He didn't attack last turn. I kind of just want to play this. That could be kind of wrong, though, because we've already saw that he's playing Duresses. It was very reasonable that he could have, like, Lost Legacy or something, too, but, like, the cat ties up the ground so often. Gabriel Nassif's playing a deck that also has a lot more two-mana interactive spells and one-mana interactive spells with, like, the Fatal Pushes and stuff, so... it's a little bit different of a deck. Let's go ahead and pop this off. If it doesn't resolve, we're not that worried about it. We can just cast the Regal Caracol on the following turn to try to provide some blockers. That's a little Whirler Virtuoso. Azcanta is the card that jumped down on me from the new set, though, that I like the most. I just don't know if it's better than Opt. I assume he has 3 to 4. I assume he keeps 4 Opts in every match as well, right? Like, is there a match that he takes the Opts out? This card's going to have to be pretty powerful for me not just to arbitrarily cycle it to the bottom. Yep, cycle that to the bottom. Now we're 3 away. A little lifelink. Still has 2 cards in hand. I'm assuming one of them is a counter spell, or one of them's a removal spell at least at this point. Oh, really? That's actually a surprise. Alright, well, no blocks. 2 cards down. He could have another negate by the time we play the second one. I need to look at his newer list. I didn't get to watch any today. I didn't wake up till like 8 p.m. Eastern today or whatever. So I'm a little behind on all the decks from today. and put that on that. That F6 value. And we know we don't draw approach this turn, but we draw it next turn. We draw a cycler, maybe? Oh. Okay, I guess there's just 2 on top of our deck back to back then. That works too. Or maybe I counted wrong. Maybe this is the one approach. Sure. Well, let's hope we didn't count wrong then. Don't care to trade one of those. It provides 1 less attacker and I'm still gaining 2 life. It'd be hard to count wrong, though. I did in fact count wrong. Wonder where I messed up at. I legitimately wonder where I messed the math up at. I must have forgot to take 1 off for a draw step. Uh-oh. We got a problem, folks. I took 1 off for the opt itself, didn't I? Oh, you're right. I took 1 off for the opt, but I didn't take the 1 down for the scry. You're right. Good copy, Sam. That is, in fact, where I messed up. That is, in fact, where I messed up. I only took it down 1. Well, I'm just an idiot then. Yeah. That's pretty dumb of me. It's kind of embarrassing to do in front of a bunch of people, too. Back-to-back glimmers. I guess we'll keep both of these. One of them is an impulse and one of them is something I'm just going to cast this turn. Like, the casts are fairly hard for him to beat. He usually has to at least extend into them that makes the fumigate better. What is this? El Shondarino. Alright. And a tick up. Well then. At least he's tapped out. So if any card in the next 5 is another approach. There we go. Come on, Moto. Thank you. So we beat another mid-range green deck, which is what approach excels at. We drew Settle the Wreckage again versus it, and at no point even come close to needing it. Man, these leagues are taking so long right now. Anyway, let's pop up the next thing. Are you off school or something? Like, it's almost your bedtime. What do you mean you want me to play another one? It's your bedtime, Blade Ogre. Also, I want to thank everybody tonight. We've had several new followers, a nice resub from Blade Ogre, some sweet bits from Corelight. We appreciate all the follows and stuff. Wait, who's mad? Did I miss something? Did the opponent say something? I didn't notice it. Anyway, so I appreciate all the follows, and for anybody else that's here... Oh, he wrote skill. I didn't even notice it. Sorry. Fair enough. And if you like what you see, make sure to click the follow button, and make sure to look at the links down below, and click the follow on the Twitter to see every time I go live, all the deck lists I play, all the opinions and interactions I have in the magical community. And also, there's a link to my YouTube channel down below where you'll find all of the streams in case you ever catch me offline or you're not able to watch. You'll also see a little content that wasn't streamed, but not much because unfortunately my upload speed is so miserable that it's hard for me to make YouTube videos. And if you're watching from the YouTube itself, keep in mind that in the description below every video there's a link to Twitch, Twitter, and the deck list. Man, I got paired versus a black-red Reanimator deck one day who had 4 Transgress, 3 Lost Legacies, and the full 4 Invasive Surgeries versus me. How do I ever beat that with Approach? That was the first day that I wanted to cut myself in a long time. Thank you for following, Burtsby. Burtsbees. Appreciate it, man. I know you go to bed. You go to bed around midnight, Matt. Which this league will probably still be going on by midnight, as slow as it is. It's taking like 30 minutes a match right now. Champion of the Wits is a sweet card. You making that money, Dumbo? I've not looked at any prices today except for Settled Wreckage, which I bought for this deck at like 4.4, and they were 1.81 when I logged off last night. Why didn't I buy them last night? All right, this hand's a pretty easy keep. We have something for an early creature, and then we have multiple counter spells. Yeah, Mono Red is very hard. We're currently 2-1 versus it, but I never want to play versus it. Never want to play versus it, even if we are running well versus it. That black-white tokens deck that I played last night, I played it for most of the night while I was watching League of Legends. And like I built that deck to beat Mono Red, and I still only went 4-3 versus Mono Red. Yeah, most of the prices were like Vraska's Contempt was down $2, Carnage Titan was down like $12, like Azcanta was down like $1.50. But it literally seemed like the exact one card I wanted to buy was up. I was just like, man, that's just unfortunate. Alright, well, we don't have a counterspell for this for some time, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and cast the Meltdown on it. Which means he is going to be able to get all the value he wants from it, but we won't take damage, and we'll be holding up a Supreme Will. So this is versus at least Mono Black. I'm assuming it's Black Green. If it's Black Green, it's a fairly good match for us. If it's Sultai, it's a little bit harder. Thank you very much, Nick Wu. Let me pop this up and definitely favor it. We may give it a try at some point. Let's inspect it. Oh, he's got Hostage Takers. He upgraded to the Invocations. I got the Invocation Scarab Gods. That's kind of entertaining. Let me flash this over here so the people on YouTube can see the deck list we're talking about. Like, I'm not going to leave it up for long so they can hit pause or whatever, but this is the deck list we're talking about. It's Gabe Nassif's deck from today, apparently. Looks pretty interesting. It's got a Commit in Memory that's good versus the Carnage Tyrants. I would play that deck. That deck looks fun. That deck actually looks pretty sweet. I do not have a Patreon account. Like, I don't know. I'm too small to have a Patreon account. There's like 15 people watch me on a daily basis, and I like know 6 or 7 of them in real life. I have not tried it in this deck, no. I tried it in a couple of modern combo-ish decks. They were all pretty sweet, but like none of them seemed great. I kind of don't want to counterspell this. Yeah, I think I'm going to though. I'll cycle to cast out first. There's no planeswalkers I care from black-green anymore. Except for Vraska. Yeah, I care about Vraska. But alright, I'm certainly not counterspelling it now that we've drawn a second approach. We're just trying to get to 7 lands. Double Fumigate, but not worried about double Fumigate. Man, I'd like to be big enough for a Patreon account. That'd be sweet. Red Rover, let's find a way to survive. Yes, I know I just got rid of double Fumigate and then made the comment, let's find a way to survive for 4 turns. So okay, we got settled to wreckages now, right? They'll bail us out. Card actually helps a little. You can do a settle to wreckage, bail some people out. That's disappointing. I was kind of wanting him to tap his mana. When comparing it to other Jaces, I feel like it's very different. Like, I look at the new Jace as like a tempo card, whereas all the other Jaces felt more controlling. So, like, for what it is, I think it's pretty decent. Now, for what that doesn't mean that the card itself's good, because for what it is, it may just not be good, right? Like, I don't know if the little like blue black or like blue red tempo decks can exist, but if those decks can exist, then it would be good. For the most part, though, I'm going to assume that they're not great. I probably should have glimmered, and because we might have hit a irrigated farmland. So like holding up Glimmer right here probably isn't very good. Yeah, we're trying Settle to wreckages so far today. We've got paired versus 2 mid-range green decks. We've drawn Settle versus both of them. We've still just never cast a Settle versus them. So like it's not great so far. It's not felt great so far. Doesn't mean it's not going to be playable, but it's just not felt great so far. P-Sams, last night I was playing versus Blue-White Approach with the Black-White deck. They had already cast a Fumigate, and I like was holding up a board spot to where I could like play a Duress around a Duress and play around them having a Settled Wreckage. And when I cast Duress, they had 3 more Settled Wreckages and a Gearhulk in hand, and I wanted to cut myself. I was so discouraged. How do you have that many Settled Wreckages? So he had at least 3 Fumigates because he cast 3. At least 3 Settled Wreckages and at least 2 Glittering Gearhulks. Or, sorry, Torrential Gearhulks. Might as well go ahead and Glimmer now in case we end up with an approach in our hand somehow. I would have actually beat... It was game 2, so I couldn't really concede, but we would have beat him if we had more time. We actually had to make a lot of bad plays due to time. If it wasn't on stream, I would have probably scooped, though. Anyway, so as long as he doesn't have discard spells, this game's over. If he does have a discard spell, we're going to have to Supreme Will into a Settled Wreckage, probably. Or maybe we'll draw like an untapped land. They could still have... Like, Duress is reprinted now. Duress is a main deckable card. Is that the guy that had the full 9 in his deck? Yeah, that's the guy that had 9 in his main deck. He still has one Gideon, and he cut all of his cast outs for Hours of Revelation. Everybody that's not playing 4 approaches kind of blows my mind as well, because how many games do we just win because we draw 2 approaches over like our first 20 cards or whatever? I would personally say its weakest match is a deck that's not really a deck anymore, which would be Blue-Black Reanimator. It's almost impossible to beat the Blue-Black Reanimator decks because no matter what you're doing, like even if you bring in like say you had 4 Scavenging Grounds and like even 4 Crook of Condemnations, like it's not their graveyard that kills you. It's the fact that they have resilient threats that keep coming back over and over throughout the Rihanna or Lilianas and stuff like that. But more than anything, it's because they have access to so many discard spells and so many counter spells. Like at some point, they will always be able to resolve a Lost Legacy versus you. And versus a deck like that, your cat backup plan cannot beat a Lost Legacy. So you need some way to kill them, and just none of your ways to kill them actually work. Like, you crush them game 1, but it is nearly impossible to win game 2 or 3 because the games just go so long and they always resolve a Lost Legacy. Now, I don't know if that's a deck anymore, so if we're talking about decks that I've saw right now, I would probably have to go with Mono Red. We have all 4 of these and all 4 of these in the Mono Red, but like still, if they just get a fast 1, 2, 3, these cards aren't good enough, especially if you don't draw authority on turn 1. Like if you don't draw, and like to get a 4 of in your opening hands, like 44% or something on the play, and you already know you're giving up game 1, so you're probably on the play for game 2. So like even if you don't play your authority till like turn 3, it's often just too late. But it's not completely out of the question. Anyway, so this is the black-green deck. We didn't see anything else from him, so we don't know if he's Sultai or anything. We did see a Gearhulk. I assume he's just normal black-green energy. Versus normal black-green energy, I like to bring in all of these alternate kill conditions because I'm highly afraid of Lost Legacy. I've literally just lost a Lost Legacy so many times that I don't think it's worth trying to hit them. And it feels to me like you have enough time to get to whatever spells you need to get. I also feel like the Ephor Meltdowns are a lot less good versus the deck that could be playing Blossoming Defense. And for the same reason, I kind of don't like the cast outs. The cast outs do cycle, but I think they're a little bit worse than the Supreme Will. We don't have to worry about the little Liliana or the little Nissa anymore, so we're going to try to cut one cast out and just see if the 6 Wrath of Gods are enough to beat them. This will be our first time playing versus black-green with the Settled Wreckages and the Torrential Gearhulks, so we're sideboarding a little bit differently than how I used to traditionally sideboard. This hand looks slow, but it's probably fine to keep. They have access to so many discard spells, and like we even saw that he had Dreamstealer main deck, that like having a bunch of lands in your hands probably not terrible. Because like, he's just going to cast a couple of Duresses or whatever, and you're going to lose your better cards anyway. So just knowing that we have all the lands for whatever we draw later in the game feels pretty solid. Go ahead and play this. If I'd drawn an island or a plains to turn on all my glacial fortresses, I would have kept that to cycle. I actually noticed that mechanized production had gone up in value today. I was kind of curious what people were playing. Oh crap, I gotta get this back up. No, wait, non-legendary. He can't get Azcanta. Ha! We're so happy. How cute is that? I'm so happy. I noticed that Sam Rubin was playing a pretty sweet Tezzeret deck last night. I was assuming he had mechanized production in it, but it was like, I say last night, but it was like 7 a.m. my time. I was half asleep. I really don't know what he had. Thank you for following the board 925. The board? The board sounds right. Just remember pretend like you're bored of Blue White Approach. Alright, so this little Dream Stealer is going to be pretty good. Put a Search of Azcanta in their graveyard? Why, yes. Yes, we will put one of those in our graveyard. This card's going to do a lot to us here. It's actually going to be pretty brutal. It's going to turn Azcanta into a land quicker, though, which is kind of nice. Duress. Alright, well, if it's a Duress, we'll go ahead and cycle this. We may hit just a land or something that he can't Duress, but... Spell Swindle. Spell Swindle sounds like a fun Magic card. And we're going to arbitrarily dump one land of that, probably. Don't think we need to Rivulets versus them, so I'm just going to take the Rivulet down. Put a Supreme Will in our graveyard. It flips Azcanta. Which lets us start refilling our hand. So I think I'm fine with that in general. How good was it? Did it work out real well? I think we're going to go ahead and look at this, because we may get a card that we don't want and we can save the land for the Torrential Gearhulk on the next turn if we do. I think I'd rather have the Glimmer than the Gearhulk, right? Alright. So I'd rather have the Glimmer than the Gearhulk, so we'll go ahead and dip the... Probably dip the Glimmer to it. And then play the land and Gearhulk next turn. Is the current plan anyway. Yeah, if you've got a bunch of Gearhulks and Scarab Gods, your deck can't be that bad. Even if it's bad, it can't be that bad, right? Well, we've turned on Gearhulk and our opponent... I didn't notice that he... Did he mulligan? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess he mulliganed once. He might have mulliganed twice. I wasn't even paying attention. That's normally the type of thing that I do pay attention to. No, he didn't mulligan. He kept. Sure. That's a good card, but... The Torrential Gearhulk's kind of decent here. Sure. So we'll have one card left over unless he has some kind of discard spell. I don't think I want either of those in this spot. Yeah, I think since he knew we had a Gearhulk, it's probably better for him to make us dump the or put the counter on the Harvester, since it's harder for us to interact with. Well, we can't block. We got the cat in the land anyway. So we discard those two. Hey, Flame Guts, it's been a while, bub. What have you been into? Let's start with a cycle of the Censor. We could draw another land, which makes the Dream Stealer a lot less good. That makes the Dream Stealer a lot less good as well. Don't think I'm going to attack this turn. I think I'm going to leave everything for blockers, and I'm just going to play the Regal Caracal. Put a whole bunch of blockers in front of the Dream Stealer if need be. Man, work ain't fun. Yeah, makes a lot less good. Oh, you're talking about keeping the other one? That's fair. It does die and come back as a 4/4 though, and it would deal with like one of our dudes, but I was really looking for a way to kill the Eversphere Harvester more than the Dream Stealer. I wasn't too worried about the Dream Stealer killing us. I'm not really worried about taking damage. Yeah. So we don't have any particularly good attacks, but we have a cast out that can stop him from having good attacks. Let's see what's in his hand. A Gigante! The last 2 times my opponent's Gaunted me, he's played one of my Caracal cats from me. Red Rover, send the Eversphere Harvester on over. We do have an Azcanta. That Azcanta is very good. Earns its spot every time. Another little land here? Alright. Not attacking, which is, I guess, pretty easy to figure out. I'm a little afraid of Walking Ballista, so I may cast out this turn. I don't really want my life to get much lower than it is. Yes, you do not have to flip that if you don't want to. You have the option. So hopefully he doesn't have a Blossoming Defense. Yep, flipping it is a May, which is really sweet. So like you can just play a second Azcanta after you've flipped your land and then you have both of them. Ooh, that was a nice hit for him. So that's our second Glimmer. He put on top as well. It's kind of scary that he put on top. Hopefully the Azcanta will start going crazy now. We've gone through 1 Fumigate but no wreckages. Yeah, this card is so amazing for control decks. I'm a huge fan. I guess he drew that for the turn. The Go ahead and let that resolve. The white one's not a May. We played a white one. Lost Legion's not a May, I don't think. Yeah, that's not a May. The Lost Legion's not a May. I don't know about the other ones. Just know Lost Legion's not. He still doesn't have particularly great attacks here. He's just attacking with that. I guess we'll start with this then. Might give us some amount of information. Three cards to the bottom, and I certainly want to kill this, right? Guess we'll cycle this too. Settle the Wreckage and Gear Hulk. Kinda want all of those cards. Right, I guess we'll take the Settle the Wreckage. Put these in front of it. That beats a Blossoming Defense, and it beats a removal spell on the cat. Let's hear about it, Flame. Unfortunately, we don't get to do cool stuff like that here. I really wish we did. I like the fact that Settle the Wreckage is an exile ability, so it gets rid of the Dream Stealer forever. I don't, however, like the fact that it's attacking, so if he draws a discard spell, we would lose this. So I'm gonna go ahead and look for an actual Fumigate. So there's a Fumigate and an Approach. I think we're gonna take the Fumigate. I don't want to just lose to a discard spell. Hey, Tuffy, man, not saw you in forever. Oh wow, so he's tapping a black mana. So I was thinking he might have had Heroic Intervention there. Not saw you in forever, Tuffy. Do you still play Magic? The last time I saw you post anything, it was a lot about fishing. Wow, I'm surprised that he played Dagante instead of bringing back the Dream Stealer. I didn't want to attack because I wanted to gain the life from them dying. I could have attacked, I guess. It was kind of like it was a 3 attack, but like, could have blocked. I gained a 1 life either way, but I could have dealt 1 damage to him. Oh, you own a fishing company now. Sweet, man. I gained a 1 life either way, and I don't care about dealing the 1 damage to him. And if he had Heroic Intervention or something like that, I don't know. You're probably right. I probably should have attacked. There was no negative to attacking that I can think of. So if there's no negative, I should have probably did it. Makes sense. Yeah, that seems like that was a misplay. Alright, well, it looks like our Settle the Wreckage is gone. I guess we should have used it on Dagante. Vraska, Jace, all 3 Planeswalkers, and a Glowing Rats, and a Glowing Rats in the prize packs as well. That's some seriousness, man. Alright, so I'm gonna start with Azcanta. In case we hit a Glimmer or whatever, it gives us more more information to use. Like, I'd rather use a Glimmer than cycle this, and we know we're casting this one no matter what. There's an approach as well. Alright, well, guess we're just going to fumigate. We'll hold our approach for later. Yeah, that is sick, man. My buddy in our normal pre-release got a foil promo glowing rats from his pool, and then and got a kitty cat, meow, and got a second glowing rats foil from his prize packs as well. Thank you for following, Trish at 010. Man, I remember Tuffy is one of the original streamers, guys. If you don't know who he was, like, he streamed way back before Magic really caught on in Twitch. One of the innovators of this. This little Azcanta has been unreasonably good. There's a settled wreckage too. Just go ahead and pop that off. We'll actually try to keep track of how many cards it is down now. That's pretty sick. They sold for like $50 that weekend. Yeah, Moto has definitely been pretty sweet lately. Well, that's a real card. I don't appreciate it when our opponents play real cards. Don't they know we're trying to win over here? So, how many lands do we have? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we know it's 6 cards down. So we can just guaranteed get it next turn. Yeah, we can just guaranteed get it next turn. Alright, we'll fumigate again then. We didn't need to opt to get it. We could have used the Rivulet and the Azcanta to get it, but the opt and the Azcanta get it just the same. Alright, so this Planeswalker does a lot of things. First, it starts with 6 loyalty for 6 mana, which is pretty sick. It creates a 2/2 black pirate with menace with its uptick ability. Its -3 ability is destroy target artifact, creature, or enchantment. And when you do destroy it, you get one of those treasure artifact tokens that you can sack for any color mana. And -10 players' lives just become 1. So in like 3 turns it ultimates and it can protect itself, which is pretty sick. Alright, so opponent tapped out and we don't really have to worry about anything now. We don't have to worry about Lost Legacy, and we know we're going to win the game because we're going to draw our approach this turn. Opponent did kind of like blow up there. Like, he was like waiting for us to use another Fumigate. Hey, Consume Meek. Don't think I've noticed you around before, bub. Nice to stop by. And yeah, Azcanta is a very fun and pretty decent card. Go ahead and put that on the bottom. So we know we're drawing our approach. Go ahead and click our approach. On the bottom in any order. Yeah, that Planeswalker seems unreasonably good and limited. Tuffy hasn't played since Cons came out. Wow, that's a long time, man. You picked the bad time to come back, in all honesty. The last limited format was one of the better limited formats in a really long time. It's kind of sad that you missed out on it. Omnicat and Ours was just a very solid limited format with a lot of like synergies and stuff. Anyway, so let's move on to the next round. And this guy is just crushing it. He gets a trophy a day. He's got 2 trophies today. He had 4 when I went to bed this morning. Go ahead and click View Deck. And for those who like what you're seeing, make sure to click the follow button and show us some love. It is very free to click the follow button. Also, if you really like what you're seeing, you can look at the links down below the stream and follow both my Twitter, where you'll find every deck list we play, every time we go live. And it's not just a stream Twitter, so it's like kind of a personal Twitter as well, so you'll see comments that I make on cards, arguments I have with people, just things of that. They may be entertaining for you to watch or read or whatever. And there's also a link to my YouTube down below, which I would very appreciate to follow on to YouTube. Again, it's free to follow, so it doesn't really hurt anything, and it helps promote the channel. On the YouTube, you'll find all of the streams, some content that is not streamed. Unfortunately, not as much as I would like, because my upload speed's only at like a 2, sometimes a 2.5 at the very top of 3, but like it makes it very hard to upload videos. But I'm hoping to figure out a way to fix that. I really want to upload more YouTube videos. I really like the YouTube in general. I love Twitch in general. But if you are watching from the YouTube, remember, in every video, below it in the description, there's a link to both my Twitch, my Twitter, and the deck list we're currently playing. So, Jay Still, man, you gotta work in the morning. There's no reason to stay up. Let's hope, Bert. We got robbed out of a 4th the other day. We were 1-0 in a very good match with that black-white deck, and my power went out. I was dream crushed. We were like 4-0 in rounds, 4-0 in matches and 1-0 in the game, versus a very good match, and I was absolutely dream crushed to miss that one. Jay Steele, I have to assume currently it's mono red. I have not ran into any Carnage Titans yet. None of them have been cast versus me. We've got paired versus a lot of the mid-rangey green decks, and they're either A, not playing them, or B, not drawing them. I've played versus a couple of Dino decks with this as well. Yesterday, when we were playing a different deck, we were playing black-white tokens. I got paired versus another streamer. His name's Chris, something I can't pronounce. His screen name is Crafty D, and he was playing a teamer, like a teamer tower deck that had taken towers out for Carnage Titans as a kill condition. That was pretty sweet, but that was the only Tyrant we had saw. We'll go ahead and start the match. We'll play first. Gideon Intervention doesn't really beat Dimir for the fact that both the mirrors they typically play 3 to 4 cast outs, and you don't side the cast boards out, or you don't sideboard the cast outs out because they cycle. So it's pretty easy just to resolve a cast out at some point on top of the Gideon's Intervention. And it's not good versus any other match. This hand's a keep, by the way. Gideon itself's actually pretty good in the mirror, though, because the only real ways we have to remove Gideon are the cast outs, which is fine. Like, they can beat the Gideon itself, but the Gideon itself's not bad versus other matches. So, like, the Gideon Planeswalker's a little bit better than the Gideon's Intervention because it's usable in other spots. But they both have the same weakness that cast out's extremely easy to beat them with. It's kind of interesting when you and your opponent both have a Gideon and a Gideon emblem out, and like you're both trying to cast out each other's Gideons and stuff like that. The games get kind of complicated and pretty interesting in the mirrors. So we already have a Censor, and I don't mind to actually hit a Servant, so I'm going to go ahead and play this and then play the Farmland on the following turn. Thanks, JJ Steele. Thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate it. And thank you for following, Downcry. Hey, Whitey Brow. I actually don't know if I updated the deck list. Give me 1 second to double check and make sure I updated the deck list. I don't recall. Yeah, this is not an updated deck list. Wow, why didn't somebody tell me? The second one's right. The bottom deck list is right, but I need to update the top deck list too. I am absolutely sorry, guys. Wow, I streamed for 2 hours and nobody brought that to my attention yet. You guys don't love me. You guys don't love me at all. I guess one of the deck lists worked though, so it was fine. Maybe that's a better way that I can have 2 deck lists up. Alright, both deck lists should be updated now. Alright, so we'll move on to the next, to our turn. I don't know what I'm trying to say the next turn. So Reverse is another mid-range green deck, which is exactly what we want to play with when we're playing this deck. Thanks, Downcry. I appreciate it. I'm trying to get better at it. We're still like 2 months. This is the third month we've streamed, so I still have a lot to learn, but I am trying to improve. Um, the approach is pretty good. I've enjoyed the approach. Like, it's really good versus all of these mid-rangey green decks. I've not found the best way to beat mono red yet while not being exceptionally weak versus other decks. That's the one thing that I feel like I need to do. Yeah, Flame Guts. I about died the other day watching somebody while I was driving. I highly don't suggest that. So there's a Fumigate, which is a nice card. Game 1 versus these teamer decks is typically pretty easy. Sometimes they slip a Chandra through, and a Chandra can cause some issues, but they don't run any hard counter spells, so it's really hard for them to beat you if you ever draw a Wrath. Go ahead and cast a Glimmer. Just for the F6 value. There's nothing he can play on 1 mana that I'd cast a cast out on, or that would make me cast a cast out. I actually think I want both of these lands. Yeah, I think I want both of these lands. We have to get to 7 lands anyway, and we already have a Fumigate, and we know we're not going to Fumigate the Rogue Refiner, so that gives us a 3 turn to cast a farmland on the following turn. Wow, he's missing a land drop too. The last time I got paired versus Teamer in the trophy round, we got crushed by it, by the way. Like, it wasn't even close. He just absolutely destroyed me. Losing versus the Teamer matches in the prize round really makes you a little sad. But I mean, it's part of Magic. Sometimes there's not really any 90-10 matches or anything like that in Standard, so like, you know you're going to lose versus good matches occasionally. Sometimes you just don't ever draw an approach. It's a fun deck. I highly suggest it. Looks like he hit his land this time, so that's good for him. He still gets to play Magic. I think we're just gonna pass again. We've only got the one Fumigate so far, and it feels like he has to add more to the board, because if he doesn't add more to the board, we can just win with an approach. Yeah, the Longtusk Cub is a major problem. I might be setting on the Fumigate way too long as well. Yeah, another Rogue Refiner. Him playing a land and a 2-drop would be best case for us. I am not going to do a Draft Tuffy. Unfortunately, my budget does not allow it. No drafts ever. He drew all 4 Rogue Refiners. That's pretty sweet. Alright, so we go ahead and cast a Glimmer here. I think I'm going to keep both of these. We may need an additional Fumigate. That being said, I'm going to cycle one of these now. Supreme Will? It's pretty good for the following turn. Ooh, a Wreckage. I don't think I want to cast a Wreckage versus an opponent who's been missing a million land drops. He uses the mana slightly better, because like we'd still be able to Supreme Will, but I want to go ahead and guarantee to get the 3 life in, and if he wants to cast like a Glorybringer and hit us for 4, that's fine. We have an additional cast out, we have an additional Fumigate, we have an additional Settled Wreckage. We basically have everything, except for an approach. I'm willing to cast out that thing, so if he plays a second one, we can cast Settled Wreckage if we want. If he just leaves it as is, we'll probably just cast out it and try to play the other Glimmer Genius with it. So if it's just a 1, we're going to cast out it, though. Oh, by the way, hello, Mercy Killing. I don't think I've saw you around before. Thanks for stopping by. I like how he drew all four Rogue Refiners, and we drew all four Glimmers. That feels fair. Azcanta's kind of good, but we have so many things that I just want to find an approach. Neither of those are approaches. We have 7 cards in hand. Guess we're just going to pass in and settle to wreckage it. He may have a Harness Lightning or something to try to beef up his Hydra a little bit. Yeah, losing Blessed Alliance was originally the thing that scared me the most. I was so fearful about losing Blessed Alliance. This is the 4th green match we've played, and we've drawn Settle to Wreckage versus all of them. This may be the first time we cast Settle to Wreckage, though. Let's see what opponent's got going on here. If this is a Glorybringer, Settle to Wreckage is going to be outstanding. I think without Blessed Alliance, like we're considerably weaker. I think we're considerably weaker versus Mono Red than we were. So he can go ahead and get 2 more lands. We have a cast out for a Scarab God, which is what he's representing when he shows us the swamp. I thought I might need the mana this turn. More than anything. I was trying to be mana efficient, but I could have kept it. You're probably right. Let's get another one then. I guess we'll take the one that can cycle. Red Rover, send us an approach on over. Okay, deal. So we still have a Supreme Will, we still have a Fumigate, we have a bunch of life and a bunch of card draw now. So does he have another Glorybringer? That's pretty good. We can't counterspell it, so. So we need to draw 6 cards. We can draw 6 cards pretty easy. Let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. So this is his last attack step, providing he doesn't have a counterspell. So go ahead and cycle this to start, because it may just hit an approach on its own. It did. And we know the next approach is 2 cards down, so like even if he counterspells this one, we can get back to it. We have them into sideboard currently. But yeah. The Rivulet does the same thing as the Supreme Will, but just in case for some reason he does magically have Negate in his deck, I would rather use the Supreme Will and have access to more lands for following turns. Oh wow, I didn't notice that, Tuffy. I'm sorry, I don't have a donation thing or anything, but I appreciate the $14 donation. Wow, that's the first cash donation I think I've got from somebody that I don't know in real life. I'm assuming that means you want me to draft this set that I have no idea what the cards are. That's ridiculously generous though, man. Thank you. Anyway, let's just delete this off and let's move on to the next game. Nobody wants to watch me draft. Come on, Tuffy. How dare you? I can't believe I missed that either. It didn't say it in chat anywhere, did it? Did it really not say it anywhere in chat? Yeah, it didn't say it anywhere in chat. That's odd. Anyway, so I've been wanting to try the Gearhulks in this match. Used to, I would bring in the 4 cats, and used to, I'd bring in the 2 Gearhulks, and I would sideboard out the hieroglyphic illuminations and the Supreme Wills. But this build of the deck's slightly better, or slightly different, and I think the Gearhulks play well if the wreckage is enough that I want to try it. Exclamation mark deck list, or look on the screen at the moment. Deck list. There you go. 1 second to sideboard, and then I'll read those matches. But what I've been trying to do, I've been sideboarding out these cards. I don't know if it's correct. The Azcanta seem a little bit slow on the draw because I feel like we're going to be casting like a Supreme Will, a Wreckage, or a Censor on all the early turns that we would want to play a search. I like to cut down on the approaches because with all of the rafts, I feel like I can just win the game with the creatures anyway, and like sometimes the approach plan just gets you in trouble if they draw 2 to 3. Oh, that's true. That is true. That is a new top D. Thank you. I would not have got that. That is, like I said, kind of new to the streaming stuff, and that is, in fact, the first one that I've got from a non-Sean, non-Mark person. So, but anyway, so this is what we're going to try. Somebody mentioned earlier to sideboard out Censor before Opt, but the reason I leave Censor in is because I think being able to interact with whatever they do on turn 3 is extremely relevant. I actually, that's what I was going to say. I actually think it's not bad on the draw in this match because the only 2-drop that they have that you care about is exactly Settle the Wreckage. Or sorry, is exactly Lonetusk Cub. So their power cards are their Whirler Virtuosos, their Rogue Refiners, and like their Bristling Hydras and their Glory Bringers, and etc., etc. And Censor's good versus every one of those cards. Anyway, so we'll keep this hand. It's a little bit slow, but we do have a Settle the Wreckage, and it seems like we're going to get to try it this game. What do you got? Take a viewer vote on draft. Don't need to draft Rose, just giving back to someone that gave to me a lot. What's the list again? Wow, we have 83 viewers. Not really Warhol or War. Oh, thank you for. Hold on for a second. Thank you for coming by, Luna. Tomazin, Turtle, and War and Card Players. I don't think I've saw any of you guys before. Alright, back to reading the chat. Yeah, not needing Meltdown's probably reasonable. Somebody else earlier suggested that I also cut out Meltdown, but I am so worried about a Lonetusk Cub. Lonetusk Cub is the easiest way for them to steal a game, I believe, versus us. We'll go ahead and put that on the bottom. What else do we got here? Deck submissions received. I don't actually have a very big collection, so it's pretty hard for me to accept deck submissions at all. I probably will not have the cards to play it. Whatever it is, I just probably don't own the cards. The deck's pretty good so far. We are 8-1 total, 4-0 on the night. It's still a little weak versus mono red, but we've only been paired versus 2 mono red decks total. That's a brutal one. Mainly because we don't actually have a removal spell Downcry. So, like, if they just play it on turn 2, it attacks for, you know, if they have an Attune or a Rogue Refiner or something that resolves on turn 3, like, it just attacks every turn and grows bigger and bigger and bigger, and our earliest way to kill it is turn 4. Thank you for following NDJWCJ. Or WJC, rather. Sorry. I'm also apparently dyslexic. That's fair, Warhol. I've had a lot of people complain about the approach deck, but the approach deck's kind of what I'm known for, so It's hard for me not to keep playing it. I'm trying to limit it to only playing it once or like once every other day. Also, thank you for following the Clown Killer. I don't think I'd noticed you before either. Yeah, I mean, they're still hitting us for 9 down to 6 or down to 7. It's going to be a rough game either way. Hopefully they attack with this again next turn and don't have a counterspell. If they have a counterspell, we're probably SOL. But if they have a counterspell, we're obviously SOL. We're dead on board. So, trying to dodge and negate here. Long Tusk Cub. That's another reason that I don't super love the settled wreckages. Alright, well, at least we're going to get some value. It's a deck list. There you go. Thank you for dropping by, Martin Lich King. I don't think I've saw you before either. So he's just attacking with this. He's playing around settled wreckage. Well, I think I still have to use the settled wreckage, unfortunately. Probably have to settle the wreckage into Fumigate and just hope that he doesn't have a 4-power creature, which doesn't seem very realistic when he still has 3 cards in hand. But we're far enough behind that that might be our only real plan. Like, if he's got a Glorybringer, we're just dead, but we don't have any out to that anyway. But we're just dead on board if we do nothing. If we get past this turn, however, we at least have Torrential Gearhulk into settle the wreckage. Alright, didn't get past this turn. And that's game. Thank you for following XX Texas Horror XX. Alright, so we got pretty crushed that game. What did we learn? We learned that he had Ronus, which the Effer meltdowns are okay versus, but not great. We also learned that that's all we really learned? I kind of want the Supreme Wheels back onto play. Probably shave a couple of these. Still think I want some Effer meltdowns. I do think they have value still. Really, you think Search of Azcanta is good here? It seems so slow here, and I'm never wanting to tap out early. Like, I'm always wanting to play a 2-drop and a 3-drop and a 4-drop. Like, I don't feel like I have a turn to take off. Huh. I don't think you need to afford these anymore. Big Chandra's not a thing. They used to be a lot better when Big Chandra was a thing. But now they really only hit the Glorybringer. Like, Glorybringer's the only card that they actually hit. And the Effer Meltdown can hit Glorybringers just the same. I could be wrong. I really don't want the Azcantas. I'm like sitting here thinking about the Azcantas. I kind of want to test it for science now that you've mentioned it, but I really like the Effer Meltdowns more. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Meltdown. Sorry, man. I could be wrong. I'll check it out later, Zep, or Rob. Thanks for alerting it to the attention. So I think this hand's very good. Obviously, we need to draw a lot more land, but the hand itself seems pretty powerful. It's like this hand right here is like an example of why I wouldn't really want to ask Kanta. Like, look at all the spells we have to play on the first couple turns of the game. You could be right though. Maybe I'll try it next time. I'll try it. I'm willing to try it. Like I said earlier in the day, like I'm not infallible. My opinions can be wrong. Next time I get player versus teamer, I'll definitely try it. Because that's actually something I want to be wrong about. Like, I want Azcanta to be good in every match. That being said, I probably should have tried it just because of that, if nothing else. There used to be a League of Legends player called Nick Wu, and that guy entertained me a lot. I really wish he was still around the League of Legends scene. If nothing else, you got to scream Nick Woo a lot, which was it's just fun to say. Spell Pierce is something I considered, but it seemed so much worse than the spell for what this deck's trying to do that I ended up not trying it. But it's definitely something that I could reasonably be considering. So Cast Out. What's Cast Out do? It gets rid of Aronas. It gets rid of a creature, but it's like not a land. I think we're still going to keep it. We're definitely going to pretty much censor anything that can ever be censored. I currently have a Jace's Defeat in my sideboard. That could very well be a Spell Pierce. Like, the reason I went to Jace's Defeat over Spell Pierce was I was thinking that, like, it can also hit a Scarab God out of the blue-black control decks. But that might be more cute than good. I'm not actually sure. But that was the thought process behind including it in the deck. Spell Pierce doesn't stifle. It just counterspells things. Yeah, I guess we censor that too. Unfortunately, he had the Effer Hub, so we couldn't get the Cast Out on it, but... So he's not had a particularly fast draw, which anytime the teamer opponents don't have particularly fast draws and they skip their 2-drops, it always makes me think that they're either A, land flooded, or B, likely have several like negates and stuff in hand. And them having several negates and stuff in hand's pretty frightening most of the time. It's hard to beat 2 negates. It's not real hard to beat 1, but this game, it looks like it could be a little difficult to beat 1. We didn't draw any glimmers, which is why it looks like it's a little hard to beat 1. Is this another Bristling Hydra? Sure. So Spell Pierce is real good here for him. Yeah, all he needs is a Spell Pierce right now, and he's like in pretty good shape. Like a Spell Pierce goes a long way right now. Oh yeah, we could counter a tune. That's always something you can do. But if I'm only playing it as a one of, the odds of me having it the turn they play a tune on turn one's like so low, right? So you have just a Glorybringer. So we're going to take 8 damage over 2 turns probably, and I'm just going to cast the Approach. Yeah, I'm just going to cast the Approach. He gets it back in our deck. I'm assuming he has a negate, but we only lose 1 point of life over 2 turns doing it like that. And where he still has 4 cards in hand, he probably had some kind of Fred anyway. So we really need to draw another Fumigate. That's not another Fumigate, fam. Alright, I guess we'll cycle this and see if there's a Fumigate before we make any decisions on what we're going to do. We could technically make sure we draw. We can technically make sure that we draw our Approach next turn, but like there's no guarantee that drawing the Approach next turn wins. I guess still worth it to cycle. I think about this, as long as you're not cutting any of your other early game, it's basically a free row. That's fair. So we potentially take 8 damage this turn if we want to do it like that. Alright, so he has no other cards in hand. So we kind of actually have a interesting decision to make now. If we cast a Cast Out, it's 2 more turns, which seems better than anything. Like, it feels like this just gives us more turns in general. And we know we can still draw. We can use our Rivulet during our next untap step and make sure that we draw our Approach that way. So we can go ahead and delete this. We know our Approach is going to be next turn. So he's not adding anything else to the board. It's pretty safe to say that if he doesn't, that he does have a negate in his hand. It's still fine to make sure that we get our Approach though. This is the last time to use the Rivulet and still be able to get the Approach. So we know what we're drawing for the turn. So he still has 2 cards in hand. They could easily be a negate, but he has no pressure on the board, so even if they're non-negate, we get, or even if one of them's a negate, we currently get 3 more turns. Which over 3 turns, hopefully we can find like another Approach or maybe another Wrath of some kind or just something. As a negate, we're obviously dead. Oh wow. Are we just dead anyway? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus 6. We're just dead if he has a negate. Nothing we can do. We just died if he had a negate. We could technically cycle this and look for a Regal Caracal, but with 2 of them already in our graveyard, that's not good. So, I guess we just have to play the Approach and die, right? So any spell we can get still loses to negate even if we cycle. The only things we could hit are Torrential Gearhulk, which since I have no real spells in my graveyard or removal spell kills as well. So yeah, that Lone Tusk Cub seems like it was the best thing he could draw. Alright. Oh well. Feels like he has it, but it doesn't feel like we can play around it. I don't think it's YOLO. He's tapping mana, so we're dead. GG. That was kind of slow to tap the mana, but that's fine. The only thing that we could have drawn was like a Gearhulk or a Regal Caracal, so we had like 4 things to hit, but any removal spell beats those 2. And they definitely any removal spell beats the Gearhulk rather. Doesn't necessarily beat the Regal Caracal, but 2 Caracals were already gone. So anyway, we lost to Temur, so that's 1-1 versus Temur on the day, 8-2 with the deck total. I'm not scooping just because I want to look at my last card, and if you scoop, sometimes it's less likely to let you look at it. Like, I know he's not going to miss his attack step, and even if he missed his attack step, I don't want to win over a Moto Bug, so I would scoop to that regardless. Or I don't want to win over, I guess that wouldn't be a Moto Bug, but like I don't want to win over a Moto Misclick. But I want to let him kill us just so we can look at the card. I think casting the approach was correct either way, but I'm one of those people that just like to know. Like, even if this next card is a Regal Caracal, I'm confident that next time that this exact scenario popped up, I would also play the approach. Yep, so it ended up not mattering. Well, I guess that's technically a redraw in it. So we would have got the cat, and we would have been able to play the cat. That doesn't necessarily mean we would have won, but like I'm still pretty sure that it's exactly. I think it's almost 100% right to play the approach. Yeah, playing the approach seems just super right. All right, we wouldn't have won either way, so it doesn't matter. But all right, so for a recap of the night, we went 1-1 versus Temur. We beat the Mirror. We beat Black-Green Energy, and we beat Red-Green Dinos. So 4-1 on the night, 8-2 with the deck. Seems pretty good. I like most of the changes we made. The Settle the Wreckages still just have never seemed good. I'm probably going to try them for at least one more league. Like, we got paired versus 4 mid-range green decks that game, or tournament, which is exactly where Settle the Wreckage should be at its best. And we cast it exactly one time and lost anyway. Lost that game anyway. The meltdowns haven't seemed good. I might try a build that shaves on the meltdowns, but like once we start shaving on the meltdowns and stuff, we're basically willing to give up to mono red. And mono red's typically the best week 1 deck. And out of the 30 matches that I played so far, since Ixalan rotated in, 10 of them have been versus mono red. We didn't get paired versus one today, but like that's still a pretty large percent. That's like 33% of the field that I've been paired versus. The Gearhulks were good. The Jace's Defeat, it counterspelled a Glimmer, but like it could easily be something else. Like I'm not sold on the Jace's Defeat. Cutting the meltdowns and maybe playing a 4Ds main, something I should consider. Adding another Search for Azcanta to the main deck, or at least the sideboard, something that I should consider. But I believe that's probably going to do it for me tonight. It is going on 11:30. Oops, sorry, that's my cell phone. I clicked the wrong button. Going on midnight here, I guess. I don't know, there's 104 people. I really don't want to log off after being 104 people. So, out of the people that are still here, is there anything you want to see? Do you like... Somebody mentioned me doing a draft. I could do a draft if that seems like something people care about, I guess. Just run back Blue-White Approach to give it a second league. Is that something people would care about? Or maybe try the Black-White Tokens deck we've been tuning. 13-6 with this list so far. I've struggled with mono red, but it's felt pretty good. So we got Tuffy saying draft. We got P Sam saying don't do draft. Literally every other effing streamer drafts. That seems fair. Is anybody interested in this blue or black white deck at all? Or is this just something people don't really care about? So we got another no draft. Seems like we got a lot of approach players in here. And I don't even know how to do a straw poll. Alright. Let me pull up a straw poll then. I'll give it like 2 minutes and then decide. So what do we got here? Approach. I apologize for the people on YouTube that can see this stuff. Tokens. A title is required. Draft. Log out. And go exercise. So this is the first time I've ever had more than 100 people watching the channel that I've not had a big host. And if I got a host and didn't see it, I apologize. Like the alerts and stuff ain't working. So here you go. Here's a straw poll. I'll give it until this says 11:06, and then we'll see what it says. Trying to learn approach. Another approach. We'll give that till that says 11:06, so that was like a little bit over a minute. A poll required. Oh, that was the MTG bot. Yeah, but I clicked. There's a straw poll link. Whoever clicked log out and go exercise, thank you. Thank you for looking out for my health. Somebody already has voted log off local. Somebody cares about my health. It's currently 6-6. Somebody else is going to have to vote, because if it comes around to 11:36 and there's not a winner, I'm going to have to just log out, right? $11:36 and it's still 6-6. I guess that means it's time to leave. Guess that means it's time to leave. Oh wait, nope. Tokens moved into the lead before I logged out. Alright, I'll give it to... I'll increase the option since it was a tie all the way up to 11:37. Let me throw that back on there real quick. Did it? Approach is back up to 8. I really am stopping it at 37 unless there's a tie. Eight to 7. 37 is almost up. 9 to 7. Alright, looks like approach is clearly winning now. Alright, fine, we'll play approach again. If that's not changed in the next couple of seconds. Alright, closing the straw poll. We'll try this approach again. Unfortunately, I have to restart the stream. So, I'm literally going to be at like 30 seconds restarting the stream, and then we'll come back up. I apologize, but I need to get rid of the lag, which means everybody's going to leave, but it's literally going to be like 30 seconds, and then we'll get back in the next match.